some of you are regulars, and we like that. That's awesome. I think we're close enough. I'm going to call us back and ask for a motion to adjourn from executive session at 7:30 p.m. It's been moved by, you have to remember, moving forward. It's been moved by Councilor Ragu and seconded by Councilor Franklin. May we have a voice vote? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
And seconded. Are there any changes, additions, or subtractions to the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor of the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. At this time, we will move to public participation, and the first item of public participation is appointments to boards and commissions. And I would ask for a motion to appoint applicants, first of all, to the Board of Housing Appeals.
I would like to make a motion to nominate for the Board of Appeals Dan Huesman, David DeWitt, Paul Allen, and Timothy Malloy.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And now for the Arts Commission.
I'd like to nominate Todd Stewart.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And thank you to those citizens for volunteering to serve their community. Second, we have a presentation by Kim Daggy from Enjoy Oxford. Give us the year-end report. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Kim
Remember
Daggy.
to speak right up to, I'm going to say this to everybody who may speak. Remember to speak right up to the microphone.
Kim
We
Daggy.
got admonition before this meeting that some of us were not doing a great job.
I do have a quiet voice, so thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome.
It's Kim Daggy, Enjoy Oxford. Thank you for having me tonight. And I wanted to give council a summary of our 2021 and also looking into the year 2022. And I do have a handful of slides. We do try and make them fun, so it's a little bit on the entertaining side as well. We deemed 2021 as a recovery year. And as you know, through council, we are funded partly by lodging tax, and we did come back and receive more than what was budgeted, so that was very exciting news to start seeing recovery so quickly into 2021. As you know, we started 21 with 3 staff members, and knowing we were coming out of the pandemic, or still within the throes of the pandemic, we did do a significant budget cut planned of $150,000 to be responsible. We did furlough staff by 20%. We did know that we were having a full-time staff member leave some point in the near future, and that was planned. We did have some deferred funds from Music Festival in the previous Porsche Car Show, so we knew we had some startup if events were returning, so we could plan about 5 concerts and somewhat of a beginning of a Porsche Car Show in August. We focused on maintaining our online content, social media, our blog writing, things like that, keeping Oxford out there in the minds of everyone. We were positioned greatly with the Oxford Area Trail System. We have a lot of great outdoor amenities, especially with the new aquatic center. And it was safe, and everybody wanted to hike and do things outdoors. We did have some informal travel going on, nothing highly organized because of the pandemic and things like that. We did have the Epic Soccer Tournament, which we helped to support, and then we did receive news we could start up with mass gatherings, so we could put on the concert series and things like that, so we were really excited. We did have to start with the cicadas, though, so that was kind of fun.
Extra music.
But people came out anyway, extra music, exactly. But we did develop a lot of strong partnerships and knew we would be reassessing throughout the year on how things progressed. By the end of the year, we have 2 staff members, myself and Rebecca, but we exceeded our budget that was planned. We did have some resources with the PPP loan, but we were excited to go through with events and return to some sort of regular programming. We went from 5 concerts very quickly to 10 with some additional community support, so I don't know how it all came together, to be honest. They planned very quickly, they magically fell into place and went seamlessly, so that was a wonderful thing to do. The Porsche event ended up having the highest registration that we had had to date at 174, and the sunshine and perfect weather had some help in drawing a lot of attention to that event. And we did turn the music festival sign that's usually by the farmers market by lot 52 into a full event during the summer sign, and then we progressed that to the winter as well. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in our town, let alone just music, and we wanted to bring attention to that. So those were some new things that we had done. We also did some in-person with Welcome Week, which was great to see the students. The first photo on the beginning of the slide was the Red Brick Friday during Welcome Week, which was a huge success. We had before done the community picnic in conjunction with a concert, but this was by far, and plus people wanted to be out, so it was great and should continue with that. We did do the winter passport campaign if you saw this out and about, but we changed it a little bit this year and add event attendance, so to draw people more into doing things that you can enjoy in town, not necessarily just going inside to restaurants and our shops and things like that, just all the wonderful things that we have. We did update the kiosk map, put some dog-friendly places on there, some public restroom areas, businesses that allow the public to use their facilities, and updated that, and we're still recovering, so we're doing all right. Here's some of our fun stats. Our online presence with our website, we have somewhere between around 6 to almost 10,000 visitors to our website a month. In the summer, it does swell to that 9.8 thousand. We did add an itinerary conference to our homepage for conferencing. We hope to have more meetings return to our community and things like that. As far as constant contact and newsletters, these are people who have actually given permission to sign up for our newsletters. We have a pretty nice 36% open rate, which is about 5% higher than the industry standard, as well as the click rate is higher than the industry standard. Our social media, we had a milestone of going over 8,000 followers on Facebook. Our Instagram and Twitter have remained about the same. We're working on that. And I pulled 2 posts here. I know it's kind of difficult to see, but this is organic reach. And we had almost 21,000 in reach for the post random of our beautiful flowers uptown. And thank you to the service department for keeping those. I think they hit the ground from where they hung. They were just amazing last summer and every summer. But just that beautiful post of our uptown living room beauty reached almost 21,000. And then the Porsche car show that we have in August had a reach of over 13,000, which was pretty amazing. So those are some fun digital stats. But we're still recovering. So we hope to do some milestones this year and doing a permanent event sign that can be used year-round. As you can see, the summer one here. We're going to print the welcome guide this year. We only had it as a PDF format in 21. We've added a hotel page just with the short-term rentals and transient guest lodging, just giving more information about how to stay, where to stay, and we have all those amenities like the larger cities. We're going to add some content to the Black History Tour and reprint that. We have hired an intern. She's wonderful. She did a weekend takeover on our Instagram account, so we're looking forward to working with Skylar Booth some more. And also planning to hire some event staff, so it's just not Becca and I doing the concerts all summer long. And if anyone would like to volunteer, let me know. In our marketing strategy, we're investigating things like TikTok for tourism, doing some guest blogs, and like I said, social takeovers and things like that. And today I had the opportunity to take a gentleman around town from Imagine. It's out of DC. It's a marketing DMO type company for us that I got to show around Oxford. He did his immersion visit today, so I got to show him some attractions, neat things. I had Casey help me with that as well. And hopefully some guidance on an outsider's point of view on what to attract to town during the summer and analytics and things like that. And he fell in love with Oxford. He's going to come back. So I was very proud to show off our town today. And then we also, with our hospitality partners, work with them in helping and assistance as we can. This is just a fun little pictorial photo journal for you. Our welcome guide, that was the PDF format. As you can see, I stuck in the cicada there because you couldn't quite see him under the giant Jenga. We did moved Shakespeare in the Park to the Community Arts Center, which was a wonderful venue. It was just beautiful if you didn't attend. It was very helpful. Uptown we have trucks. There's been years we've had farm equipment come through during the Shakespeare performance. So it was just very quaint and beautiful back there and served well with the arts. And then you can see the winter version of the large sign there as well. And then just if you had any questions, we're looking forward to recovering more in 22, doing some more exciting things. But we're always available in here and helping to promote our town that we love so much.
Thank you, Kim. You do a great job, may I say, and we really appreciate it. Does anyone on council have any questions for Kim? I know we all appreciate it.
I have a question about, hopefully as the budget and the lodging tax comes back up, do you anticipate getting back up to kind of a full-strength staff like you had? Because it's been a struggle probably to keep everything going with reduced staffing. So do you anticipate some getting back up to full complement?
We will.
Okay, good.
Baby steps.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, now we will move to other public comments. If anyone would like to address council about items that are not on the agenda or the consent agenda, please come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record. Welcome, Prue Dana.
Thank you,
I
Prue
did
Dana.
half your job for you.
And I'm here with the League of Women Voters of Oxford, and I passed out to you our 2022 Government Services Directory. It's finally updated. We didn't update it last year because things were still in a sort of a confusing state. But we have it this year, and you'll just see these around town. And call me if you don't see them around town. You can use them. If you open it up, you can see Talawanda School District, administrative staff. I want to thank the city for their, with Heather, their ability to help us update things. And so this is for you to use. Keep it by the telephone. Thank you.
Very helpful, thank you. Would anyone else like to address council? Not seeing any. We will move on to the consent agenda. May we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilor Ragu. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Ellerby. All those, are there any items to be removed? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. We'll now move to resolutions. You may read the first.
A resolution authorizing a public arts partnership program
memorandum of understanding between the Oxford Community Arts Center and the City of Oxford, and authorizing the city manager to sign the memorandum of understanding on behalf of the city.
Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. And we will hear from our Assistant City Manager, Jessica Green.
Good evening. This is a joint project between the City of Oxford and the Oxford Community Arts Center and the Public Arts Commission of Oxford. The work on this project actually began way back in 2020, and we were drafting a call for art and a partnership and an MOU, and we were really getting ready to release this, and then COVID hit, and we just put it back on the shelf for a few years. We kind of felt like this past fall that maybe it was time to dust it off a little and clean it up and get it ready to try again. So in January, I presented a final draft to PACO for review and to the Oxford Community Arts Center, and they both approved it. But what the premise is that we will, the city will use up to $1,000 of PACO, the PACO fund in the general budget, to purchase a railing system that will hang along the ceiling and display public art in the city building. We will have a joint juried committee that will select the art. So the jury will be made up of PACO members, an OCAC member, and a city staff member. And we will jointly put out the call for art, and then this jury will select the art, and we'll hang it in the city building for a period of 6 months. The insurance on the art will be covered by OCAC, so their insurance is going to cover it. So basically, we're an extension of their gallery into our building, but they're still the kind of the operator of the insurance clause. And then if an item would be sold, it would stay on display, and then at the end of its time period, it could be sold, and a portion of the sale would go to the Oxford Community Arts Center. So this is our first attempt at an organized public art display such as this, and we wanted to bring it to council, not because of the budget or anything like that, but to let you know about this partnership, to seek your permission to enter into this MOU with OCAC, and to kind of let our public know that a call for art will be going out soon, if you would authorize it. So,
Super.
thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this resolution? Seeing none?
I just want to say, thank you, Jessica, for putting this together. I'm the liaison on PACO, and I'm looking forward to seeing beautiful public art indoors and eventually outdoors as well.
Anyone else?
Since we're on the topic of public art, the mural on the municipal building, what's the status on that?
That's what I ask every
Okay.
time I have a meeting with the city manager.
So we have also we've also been in contact with the artist to see when we can get that hung up, and we've even offered to help pay to hang that up and get a contractor. But it's being touched up by the artist, and then it's in like a storage barn right now. So when the artist is done kind of touching it up, we'll get it ready, and they contact us. We are ready to then hang it up. So that's where we are in that process and kind of in the waiting game. But with her
We
being
have
away
a
at
contractor who has agreed to put it up for us.
Well, actually, I misinformed you.
Oh, okay.
We have one in mind, but we have not contacted him because we needed to locate the art piece, and then we found out there
Okay.
needed to be some touch-ups.
Well, we
so
have a plan.
we have
we
a
have
plan.
a plan.
It's good to have plans.
So the young lady who's in charge of it is away at school, so there's a little bit of a delay sometimes. But we know that the artist is actively working on it, and when it's finished, we'll contact the contractor and get it hung up.
Okay, thank you.
Well, just on this topic, yeah, this is gonna be really exciting. I know that in constructing the municipal building, a great care was taken to get everything just right, so I know this will be displayed in a way that merges kind of that desire for, our facility to be beautiful and also interesting and artistic. So I'm looking forward to this. Thanks.
Super.
So I got a question for city staff.
Yes, Glenn.
I remember us having a discussion regarding I'm not gonna say antiquated, but an older ordinance that's on the books regarding signage that we're gonna look into adjusting because it hampered murals and other things like that uptown. It was a couple years ago, and I don't think we ever got to it. I'm just wondering if that is a relatively easy thing to shore up so that we can start doing more initiatives like this, or at least have like some of the public start adding into the fold of like having more murals
Glenn, I think, and Sam can correct me, but I don't believe our sign regulations come into play unless someone puts a mural up that's advertising their business or their hours or something like that. But if it's just an artistic piece of work that doesn't identify the business or, is a form of advertising, I don't believe it runs afoul of our sign ordinance.
The ordinance that I was talking about was in regards to the house signs that students have up, like that sort of, the way the ordinance was written had an unintended overreach. And I was just wondering if we could adjust that so that we could get more.
Could staff just look into that?
Yeah, that's
Get back to us.
Mhm.
Thank you, Glenn, for bringing that up. Any other discussion? Are you ready to vote? All those in favor of the resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The resolution is adopted, and we can move to the next resolution.
A resolution accepting the bid and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Prue's Construction Company for reconstruction of Main Street between High Street and Park Place for a total not to exceed $393,178.
Can I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
It's been moved. And seconded by Councilor French. Thank you. Mike, welcome.
Good evening, Your Honor, Council. Thank you. This project is for the total reconstruction of Main Street between US 27 and Park Place. So that will be all new curb and gutter, new sidewalks, new water hydrants that will be accessible for special events on both sides of the park. There's some tripping hazards around the flagpole. These three lights will be removed and repaved with brick, and we'll have aerial LED lighting on the flagpole. And there'll be some additional conduits that connect underground the east and the west parks for future use. So hopefully there will be no need to touch the street for many decades in the future. The city was successful in getting a grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission for $276,500. So we're recommending council award this contract with the alternate for a total of $393,178. And with our grant from Public Works Commission, the net cost to the city will be approximately $116,000. So I'm sure you're concerned that we only have one bidder for the project. And this is a sign of the times with stimulus money. Many contractors are very busy, and we're feeling the sting of inflation as well. And prices are exceeding our estimates, and I'm hearing the same thing from our colleagues at Miami. So it's something that we're noting and we will account for in the future. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
But you do feel confident with the qualifications of the contractor?
Yes, Bruce is an outstanding contractor. They have already done a couple blocks on High Street and College Avenue, and very pleased that they bid the project.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this item? Okay, we'll turn it to council, and let me just ask one question, which I have heard the answer to, but I think my colleagues would like to hear the answer to it. How will this impact the summer concert series?
So we will do our best to hold the contractor off until after the Oxford Wine Festival. Forgive me if I don't have the correct name for that. But the work will be done through the summer. Contractually, it needs to be completed by August 12th, I believe. But we've talked with the contractor. They're aware of the importance of Thursday nights. The Main Street construction area will have orange fencing around it, but it should not be of great impact to patrons on the West Park. And we will do our best to keep crosswalks, at least one crosswalk open at all times to the north or the south of the project.
Super, thank you. Other questions? Did we ask the public? Yeah, I think we did. Any counselors have questions?
Similar question for the farmer's market. So, because I know that that's a little bit removed from where the construction will be, but the access to parking and all of that will still be intact?
Yeah, that's not impacted. So the work limits of the project stop at the north end of Park Place.
Great.
Super. Any other questions or comments? Are you ready to vote? All those in favor of the resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Move on to ordinances. We have no first readings this evening, but we do have second readings, and I will ask the clerk to read the first of them.
An ordinance approving the final subdivision application and plat for South Forest Edge, Section 2, with conditions.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved to approve this ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Hello, Sam. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council
Talk
members.
to us.
Be glad to. So no changes since the first reading. This is the 54-acre parcel that's 17 acres being split off. We'll create a new public street called Arbor Edge Trail and create 21 lots. So if this is approved, this will allow the developer to record the plat and move forward with the project. They do have other things to do besides recording this plat with utilities, but this will allow them to move forward.
Okay. No changes. If there's anyone in the public who would like to address this ordinance. Seeing none, council, any comments, questions, or issues?
And this is just me again trying to understand, because this, I think in the past, we would have seen a final that might have had engineering drawings, lighting and landscaping plans. Is that just gonna handle administratively? I mean, we approved the final subdivision, and any of that stuff would just be handled administratively. It just seems like, it's like a departure from the way we've done things in the past, and I'm just trying to understand what's changed.
Those details were in the South Forest Edge preliminary plan development.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they're not changed.
There's no change to those.
Right.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, would you please call the roll, Heather?
Mr. Prethridge?
Yes.
Ms. Ragu?
Yes.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes.
Mr. Ellerby?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mayor Snavely?
Yes. This ordinance is adopted. Can you please, when you're ready, read the second ordinance?
An ordinance accepting the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approving the final plan development application to allow for further commercial development of an 11.28 acre site incorporating the Mayday gun range to contain a new business incubator and storage facility with conditions.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second, please?
Second.
It's been seconded. Councilor Flynn. And we see Sam is back.
I'm back. So I added a memo to the front of the same information you had last time, just illustrating the updates. We're not far enough along to really make a recommendation that has detailed language, but I just wanted to illustrate the progress we did make with calculating what the proportional cost may be. And they have asked us, Mr. Webb, and on behalf of the owner has asked us to expand that a little bit farther to properties that are surrounding. So just as a recap, this is a planned development for a business park, with the majority of the discussion centered around the improvements that would support that based on the Planning Commission recommendation. So whether you want to table that now or have further discussion is really up to you as far as the actual ordinance. And I know there was a lot of discussion about how to calculate that and whether it's appropriate or not. I think it's really your call whether you want to go through the slides again and look at that detail. I know that Mr. Webb would probably like to speak as well and share their perspective. So happy to answer any questions after all of that kind of transpires. And I've got a few slides too if you do have questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Webb, would you like to represent the petitioner or anyone else?
Sure. Were you going to go through the slides, or?
I'm here if you need me.
Oh, okay. No, not necessarily, I guess.
I did see the slides. I watched the entire first reading.
So thank you to Sam and to City Council for having us back here this evening. We have made a lot of progress since our last meeting over the last couple of weeks. We have gone back and forth over the nature of what would a proportionate impact actually look like with regard to putting the sidewalk. If you recall, the issue is there's currently no sidewalk along the path to the gun range, nor from Ringwood Road to US 27. Planning Commission asked that we participate in that because that's in phase one. That would expedite the construction of the pedestrian connectivity. Last time we were here, we had questions about what that proportionate impact would be. Staff has calculated that, and we've gone back and forth. I think we're certainly making progress on that. Our ask then back to staff was that if council considers this phase one sidewalk so important, perhaps instead of having us just write a check, that you as city council might commit to your portion of the sidewalk the same time we commit to our portion of the sidewalk. So in principle, we've agreed to that, so I think that's also a great move. Lastly, and I'll just say it one more time, just for the fun of it, I guess, we had asked staff to say that, because of this participation of my clients and the city in order to create a new pedestrian access, that we change the ordinance rather than to say that you may still have to build a bridge in phase two, to simply say that all of this participation suffices to say that we've met the pedestrian connectivity. The reason that I'm concerned about that on my client's behalf is, they would like to start marketing this project for these future sites. If we simply don't know what the cost of development of these future sites would be, there's really no way for them to price this property or be able to really sell the thing. So sort of our last attempt at saying we believe that with our participation with the city, we have met the intent of the code by creating pedestrian access to this property. We'd ask to not have to be sort of on the hook to do it twice, especially in a really expensive way down the road. So appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance? Seeing none, I would turn it to council, and I think one of the things we need to discuss is the bridge, obviously, and whether you're prepared to go forward, so I'll leave it to you.
I just personally want to compliment, I think that the idea of determining the proportional cost, I think it's proven it can be handled administratively, and I think the assumption was proportional being the city would contribute its reasonable share, and I think that, so I'm happy to hear that we can solve that, and so I think that's really good news. As for phase two, again, it's so hard to know what the uses would be. Some might be an employment center, that would generate more traffic or less. And so I think at this point, if it's going to be a phased project, I think the current language just doesn't preclude us from having the conversation later, but doesn't require that anything particular happens. So I think the current language is fine, and I don't think I'm approving a bridge or disapproving a bridge. I'm just saying that a future pedestrian connection may be considered as part of phase two when we see what phase two looks like. So,
Anyone else have a comment?
To a question and then a comment, but did we make an amendment in the first reading to remove the specifics of that bridge? So that bridge language is still in there?
It's still in there. If you look on page 120, is it 121? It's still there at the bottom of page 121 and the top of page 122. I have it highlighted for myself because
I would like to make an amendment to strike the specifics of the bridge.
Thank you. Let's do that. We've got a motion to strike everything after west side of US 27. Is there a second?
Well, wait,
So that is, this condition does not preclude the possibility of the city requiring strict compliance, and it goes all the way to feasible at the time of review. Okay, is that your motion?
Correct.
Okay,
The reasoning behind, well, I'll just
let's see if we can
there's
get
a
a second, and we can certainly modify it if someone will second it.
Second.
Thank you, it's been seconded.
All right, so
Glenn?
the reasoning why I would like to modify this language is the petitioner has made the accommodation for the 40 feet of right-of-way in order to build that street, and we've already passed the complete streets, so in the case of a connector, there will be a sidewalk there due to the language in the complete streets. It would seem awfully redundant and a very large burden on our petitioner here currently in a phase 1 to build a bridge in which if the road gets put there, another sidewalk would be next to it. That just seems odd for us to have something like that. But still want to have the language that says pedestrian access, but not necessarily specifying in any particular thing.
Dave?
So, I would second, but I think you've excised more of the language than I think we were talking about. I mean, I think we were still talking about a connection to the southeastern side of the property, the nature of which we didn't determine. What you phrased is, you just leave them with a direct sidewalk connection, which the petitioner could say they currently met and they're done. So, I would second it, but again, not in the language of what I understood we were talking about in our conversation was that not deleting it after the west side of 27, but deleting, and we could just say an additional walkway in the northeastern corner and just deleting N-word Bridge. That's the way I understood it, that there may still be a need for direct connection to 27 given the type of development that comes.
Well,
And we're just not saying it has to be a bridge, we're just saying it's a pedestrian connection, so that was my understanding.
I don't like to, again, back to that whole thing, I don't want us to dictate how something is done unless there's a specific reason for it. But if the spirit is we want to have some sort of connection over there in the language, okay.
So that's, I mean, I'm seconding, but I'm like what I understood that to be was not excising everything after the west side of 27, but just we could delete the word, add the word bridge. I mean, it's an additional walkway, be constructed.
Yeah, let me just ask a question, and you all had discussion of this issue at our last meeting. If a roadway were put in where there is space for one to go in, would not the complete streets policy dictate sidewalks, and don't our ordinances dictate a sidewalk? And if a sidewalk were built, wouldn't that solve our problem?
And you are talking about the right-of-way that's along the south. Yeah. As would the condition of just maintaining a direct connection here. You know, I mean,
Well,
I think it would, but the complete streets policy is, it should, but we don't always.
Well, there's an ordinance that complies sidewalks on streets. I do think that, telling them because of the topography of the land that they're gonna have to make a connection there just doesn't, I think that's onerous, personally. And I think that's the spirit of Glenn's amendment. So even if we're not saying that there's a bridge, there's no other way to get there but by a
Well,
bridge.
I also agree that if there were to be a road developed there, then a sidewalk, I mean, that's the most logical place.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I would
then-
grade it with the roadway, but if we exercise everything after the west side of, along the west side of 27, then, yeah, the developer may not at that point have any responsibility to construct it as part of the. Yeah, I mean, I just think that we're making clear that we want a connection that goes to 27 directly. We're not dictating exactly how it could be in that right of way.
So the other reasoning behind this is a phase 1 project that has nothing to do with that area right now. And if a phase 2 project did come across the council docket, they can address that as a part of the conditions that show up, and that will probably also go through planning commission, and they will also address that same thing. So right here, we're discussing a again, a redundancy that I think they don't need right now. And that language locking them into a specific thing, I believe is unnecessary.
So I took some time to go out to the site over the weekend just to kind of look at the topography and think about it after our discussion. And so I think what I want to know is what is the concern in terms of a loophole that could be created if we took bridge out?
All I'm saying, if I were a lawyer, I would say that we want to protect our ability to enforce the code. And all this is saying here is that we're not saying that we will enforce the code. We're saying that approving this does not preclude the application of our strict code, period. We could, at that time of phase 2, say, no, the specific zip makes no sense. I guess the lawyer in me says you don't dictate that we won't enforce our code in the future.
Why, I guess I would ask our law director whether he thinks this is necessary to protect any rights that the city may have when a whole new phase 2 comes before us. Wouldn't we still then have the right to talk about sidewalks and everything else with a phase 2?
Yes, so Mr. Mayor, I do think that you would still have the opportunity to discuss conditions in phase 2. In particular, I believe when this goes back to Planning Commission, if there is a phase 2. However, I do see that there is some benefit as well to indicating that condition 5 does not preclude the city from enforcing the city's requirements as it relates to connectivity. So I think you could go either way with it. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer there, but certainly the language that does exist after west side of US 27, that is beneficial at indicating that the city does have the right to subsequently enforce its connectivity requirements without waiving that subject to condition 5.
So yes and no.
Yes and no.
That was my understanding from our conversation, is that we would strike the word bridge, but not necessarily more than that. And I don't think redundancy, if we say it's gonna happen anyway, I don't understand the problem with redundancy.
Well, so in looking at it, could we leave, this condition does not preclude the possibility of the city requiring strict compliance with the Oxford zoning code's pedestrian connectivity requirements as part of a future phase of the business park development period.
I second that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, we have, unless it's friendly.
I'm open to that being a friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you. I was prepared, but I appreciate it. So there would be a period at the end of development.
Yes.
Okay. I would then ask for a vote on the amendment, which is to strike the language in Section 5 from this condition does not to business park development. Everybody understand the motion? All those in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, are we ready? Do we have any other discussion, or are we ready to vote on the main motion?
Well, we got into the detail, but I want to thank the applicant. I mean, this has been a piece of property that has a lot of potential. We don't have a lot of OI, and I appreciate in advance the investment, and I hope that the uses that you envision there in terms of some of the incubator, people starting, contractors being able to start things. Self-storage is good, but I think those other things really could help people start businesses in Oxford, and I hope that it goes and that you are able to expand the business park. And I hope we can talk about phase 2 and what to do about it because your park succeeds. And again, I don't think anyone here is looking to be onerous. We're just precluding our rights as you want to, or protecting your rights as you want to protect yours, and we can have that conversation later. So, thank you.
I'd like to say thank you for providing additional economic development opportunities in town. I know that you've been in town for a long time. You're very well established here and well respected. So I don't want to try to get in the way of development in this town so that you're creating jobs and you're actually helping the city by creating jobs and giving us income tax to continue to do good things here. But like Mr. Prillich said, we do have to protect our own interests. I believe that what we did now is a compromise to be able to do that so you guys can move forward. I'll definitely be up here, making sure that any developer that wants to come in and try to do things can do it with the minimum hassle possible from the city while remaining, or while protecting our interests. I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you, Glenn. Anyone else? Are we ready to vote? Please call the roll.
Ms. Ragu?
Yes.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes.
Mr. Ellerby?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mr. Prethridge?
Yes.
Mayor Snavely?
Yes. Ordinance is adopted. Congratulations and good luck with the project. I hope it goes on. Okay, we have a third ordinance. When you're ready.
An emergency ordinance accepting easements necessary for the construction of Phase 4 of the Oxford Area Trail System.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor French. And we will listen to Mike.
Good
We're
evening
glad to
again.
have you back.
Thank you. These easements are, again, required for the construction of the future Oaks Trail through this area. The Law Director's Office has been working with the property owner, and so we just need your approval tonight as an emergency so that the easements can be accepted immediately. And we will get those recorded with the County Recorder's Office, and we'll be able to certify all of the land and right-of-way necessary for Phase 3 and Phase 4 of the Oaks Trail, and move that project along. Super. No other changes from first reading.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance? Okay, I would turn it to council. Do you have any discussion? We're all on board. I would just comment that we are very fortunate that we have a cooperative developer who is doing exactly what we would hope would happen and put that trail right through the middle of that future development.
We can't take landowner cooperation for granted.
You
know?
cannot. You cannot take it for granted.
And just a reminder for the public, what's the anticipated construction and completion of this phase? When?
Well, I'm not prepared to answer that. There's ODOT reviews have to be finalized, and we're at their mercy. So I will keep you apprised as we can move that along.
Okay. Thank you. Ready to vote? Call the roll.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes.
Mr. Ellerby?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mr. Prethridge?
Yes.
Ms. Ragu?
Yes.
Mayor Snavely?
Yes. The ordinance is adopted.
Thank you.
It is an emergency, so it takes effect immediately. Would you please read the fourth ordinance?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 3654, supplemental budget ordinance number 3, to make supplemental appropriations for fiscal year 2022.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Second.
Moved and seconded by my right and my left. And we welcome Joe.
Thank you. This ordinance, I added 3 different things, and or actually 4. It just tells you how fast things can change. The first one was Jessica applied for a grant through the Butler County Department of Development for $200,000 of their CARES funding, and that was for a small business recovery program, and that would be administered by the Chamber of Commerce, as we did with one of our fundings for businesses during our CARES funding expenditures. And this is still going to have to go to HUD, so we're not sure when we'll get it, but since we got the information, I just wanted to get it in the budget, so when we get the money, we'll have a place to put it, and we'll have an expenditure that we can spend it, and we'll right away go ahead. Jessica's already been in touch with the chamber, and then we'll forward them the money, and they'll run that program for us. The next one came the day after the meeting. The first one came the Friday when the agenda was due, or when you received your packet last time. The next one came the day right after our council meeting, and we were informed by the Office of Budget Management that we were receiving an extra $4,832.17 of the American Rescue Plan funding. And what happened is some of the districts or cities or decided not to accept the funding, so it all went back in the pot, and then the state just split it up the same way they did our original funding. So that's an increase in revenue and then also an increase in expenditure. So it's a little bit extra money that we can do some good things with. The next one is there was a recovery from an accident that Mike's department was able to secure for us for $32,475.26, and that's to repair a fire hydrant that was damaged. So this is showing the money going in, and on the expenditure side, we got $32,475.26 to make the repairs. And finally, with the receipt of our Main Street improvement project, as Mike had mentioned, that we had one bid and it came in more than we had anticipated, so we needed an extra $43,200 that will be appropriated of the capital improvement fund, and that just comes from the fund balance. And not last, or was it last year? The year before, we had transferred quite a bit of money at the end of the year to the capital improvement fund because we had a fairly good year in the general fund. And so this is just taking some of that money and putting it to use. And doing this, we'll be able to let the contract and have it done by the time the kids get back next year.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Anyone from the public like to address this ordinance before council? Seeing none, councilors, discussion, comments or concerns? Seeing none, please call it.
Mr. Ellerby?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mr. Pethridge?
Yes.
Ms. Ragu?
Yes.
Mr. Bracken? Mayor Snavely?
Yes, this ordinance is also adopted. Thank you. And we will move now to announcements and communications. Doug Elliott, you are first.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. A couple of things I just wanted to share with council and the public. As you know, I reported that our ban on expanded polystyrene, which we adopted in 2020, was scheduled to go back into effect January 15th, 2022. However, the Ohio legislature included in the 2,438-page biennium budget bill a permanent preemption on the city's ability to ban expanded polystyrene. Therefore, the city's ban will no longer be in effect, and regardless of the state's permanent preemption of this ban, we encourage our businesses to explore other environmentally friendly containers, and we thank the many businesses that have already made this change. You know, I'm reminded of that quote, there are two things you don't want to see being made. One is sausages and the other one is laws. But you know, the problem with that quote is that you can't see this law getting made because they stuck it in the budget bill. Right. And basically, you know, I feel that the legislature has been attacking local government preemption, as you know. And if you were to do something like that and stick it in the budget, why our citizens wouldn't stand for it. You know, we do have within our Constitution, I believe, it states something to the effect that there should only be single subjects in bills, but that's not the case here. So it's very disappointing that they slipped this in the budget bill, the 2,438-page budget bill, and really getting in the way of us trying to do what we think is right for our community, and maybe providing a model for other communities to follow. So I just wanted to make that comment. The other thing that I wanted to share with the council is that this morning Jessica Casey and I met with Kate Rumanier, who I believe is the president of the Oxford Seniors Board, to discuss this concept of a new combined recreation and senior center facility, or community center. And as you know, the Tri-Board has been discussing and exploring a new facility at the current site of the existing facility. The city leases the current building from the Tri-Board, and of course the current facility is outdated with space limitations that affect the program offerings. The city owns the senior center, which was built in 1980, and of course it too is outdated. So the proposed concept includes a new facility which would house the offices and operations of both current facilities with separate and combined spaces. This community center concept would provide opportunities for older adults to interact with younger residents, which I believe, and I think you would agree, benefit both age groups. So the Tri-Board, as I understand it, will be engaging a consultant to provide floor plans based on space needs of both groups and building cost estimates. And this information, of course, will be utilized for community capital fundraising. So the Senior Center Board will need to make a decision on whether or not to support this community center concept. And of course, as you know, they've also expressed interest in purchasing or having donated some land that we own in Western Knolls. So they'll need to come to some agreement as to which pathway they want to take. But, you know, I think it is exciting to discuss this community center concept. And that's all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike? Nothing tonight, thank you. JJ?
Nothing tonight.
Joe?
Nothing, thank you.
Chief? John? Okay. Casey?
Everything city manager Ellen just said.
Will the tribe be moving as quickly as they can to get this moving? That's good. I wanted to give you an opportunity.
I didn't know we would talk about this tonight, but this is exciting, so thank you, Doug. I don't know that I can say they'll be moving as quickly as possible. I think they would tell you if they had all the money in their pocket right now, they might choose not to build just yet based on construction costs. So this will take time, and you know we're talking 2, 3, 5, 6 years of time, depending on how fundraising goes and the concept plans and the senior center. So it's a longer term project, but we've got to start somewhere, and this has been a discussion for many years, kind of like the new pool was. We talk about it, we talk about it, we talk about it. It finally picks up some momentum, and they're really moving forward. So it's really exciting to think about getting out of our 1970 tri-building and into something a little more modern. So,
Super.
thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Sam?
I just wanted to thank all those that serve on boards and commissions. We have 19 boards and commissions, and I know you appointed 5 tonight, and the demand on them ebbs and flows with the different policies and projects that are going on, so they don't often get much appreciation, but I just wanted to give a shout out for those that are going to be serving, so thank you.
Do you also want to give a shout out to Oxford Tomorrow and our upcoming meeting?
Sure. Yeah, and I did notice in your agenda packet too, the location's been determined now for the April 18th meeting, but anyone can go on oxfordtomorrow.org and fill out a survey, submit their ideas, just kind of read what's happened so far. This comprehensive plan update will kind of set the course for the future of Oxford for the next 10 to 20 years, so it's important that people contribute to that. April 18th, 6 o'clock, it's a Monday evening, will be the next event. It's in person at Oxford Bible Fellowship, and there'll be more coming about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Green, Assistant City Manager, welcome.
Good evening again. I wanted to let you know the next steps with the council retreat. So thank you for your time on Friday. I've spent the past couple of days when I had a little bit of time in between things typing up all the Post-it notes. And so I've typed them all up, and I'm kind of writing a summary of what we did that day. And I'm going to send that to you to make sure that I've captured the sentiment on your Post-it note correctly. And then if there's no major edits from you, I plan to then bring that forward at the next council meeting in April for adoption via resolution. So then we will do, an article on the website and send out a press release and those kind of things. So that's our next step with the council retreat. And then I also want to let you know, we are still doing an annual report this year. I have a rough draft, but just a reminder, like our office was hit big time this winter with staffing struggles. So I have a draft now. I just need to get it edited and back out for print and publication, but it's coming. It'll just be a little later this year than we wanted, but it's coming. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. Heather?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Mayor Snavely set Sam up to talk about what I was going to talk about, which is to go to oxfordtomorrow.org and fill out the survey. The last day to fill that survey out is March 25th, and hopefully we'll see you on April 18th.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thanks for your comments. I was going to talk about that, and I think to follow up on what I said at the last meeting with the invasion of Ukraine, to look at kindness, but still retaining joy. And I think over the past couple of weeks, I really want to dig my heels in and really protect democracy. And our state legislature is not behaving in a way of transparency. We all know sunshine laws affect all of us, right? You don't talk to developers that have something on the agenda. You don't talk to more than 3 counselors on any given topic. And we all abide by that very closely, but it doesn't involve the state legislature. They can do whatever they want without any transparency. So I'm looking forward to helping them understand that there could be a better way, and that maybe correct energy bills that increase our electricity bill might not happen in the future.
Thank you very much.
2 things. Reminder that the Maurice Rocco statue is going to be put up on Saturday at 2 o'clock, right, in the Woodside Cemetery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Historical marker.
Yeah.
My apologies. But as you talked about updating the Black history information, that's one area. So I look forward to being there, and I hope some of you can join us as well. I also want to talk a little bit about housing in our community. It continues to be a struggle. We're looking to develop more affordable housing, but we're also in many ways losing some affordable housing with some developments being taken over. They're private developments. People can purchase them and do what they want, but there's a lot of need and hurt in our community, and I've been in communication with a few community members who are struggling for where to go next and what to do. So we need to put our heads together and continue to work on that issue. Thank you.
Nothing for me tonight, everything's been said.
Thank you. David?
So on the subject of boards and commissions, we were talking in our retreat about the role of boards and commissions in achieving our goals. And I think we agreed that boards can't do a lot by themselves separately from staff, but I think at the same time they're an incredible resource. We have a lot of them, and people who are on them are there because they really want to help our community make a difference. And so I'm hoping we can think about how we can engage them in this process. You know, in part because when I first came on to start serving on boards, we on the planning commission, we had no direction from council at all. We just kind of like did what we wanted. We set our own agendas, and I think that bottom-up energy is good. I think council and staff saying these are the big priorities and a little bit of top-down energy is also a good thing. Ideally, I think a top-down and a bottom-up, because you know, I think our boards and commissions can have good ideas on how we can achieve our goals. So I'm wondering whether, you know, it would be really nice if different boards could meet and set their own agendas for the upcoming year in relation to our goals. And so I don't know whether staff or us as liaison or we as liaison can share the council goals with our various boards and say, hey, this is what council and staff thinks are the big goals. What do you think and how do we get there? Because I do think when I think of, clearly a lot of things don't happen without staff, but most of the zoning code revisions we've done in recent years were a lot of people putting their heads together to figure out how to solve the problem. So I hope we can tap into that resource, and I don't know what that means. We wait till April for that full resolution and then we bring it to people. At that point it's like half the year or is gone, or whether we informally communicate that with our boards and just kind of verbally communicate. But I guess Mr. Mayor or Doug, whether it might be wise to ask for some agenda time on our upcoming, on those boards that we sit on, to just kind of share with them what council's thinking and engage them in setting an agenda for the years. I think a lot of our boards would like to be proactive and figure out how to do that. So that's just kind of a question on how to handle it.
Sure. I think, Jessica, when you get your document ready, let's make sure that it's sent to each of our boards and commissions.
Before April?
I think you can send it before April to let them know that it's going to be on the agenda. And that would give liaisons, and for those who don't have liaisons, they would have the opportunity to see what's going on. I believe in transparency, and I think it also is a good idea to have everybody coalescing around the same things.
And I think some agenda time on some of these boards, it's like, what are our goals? What do we spend our time on? I think, again, those proactive boards might have ideas on how they could best utilize their time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. All right, couple of things. First, I want to thank staff who took the time to go out to our retreat and contributed really effectively. And I want you to know that my colleagues and I on council really appreciate you and appreciate you taking the time to do that. So we are lucky to have an outstanding staff, top to bottom, and we appreciate you.
We couldn't do it without them.
Right. That was taken care of by someone else. Two other things. I would like to say that I think I reflect the views of most members of council, that we stand with Ukraine. This is a horrible situation. It only seems to be getting worse. In any way that you can, that you have the ability to do so legitimately, I hope that you stand with the people of Ukraine. Lastly, and less importantly, but still of some importance, I hold in my hand the magic tickets to Pancake Day. Pancake Day is operated and run by the Kiwanis Club of Oxford. It is their #1 fundraising event of the year, and they support children in the community. That is their primary focus. And Pancake Day has, over time, become one of the main community events where we all get together. And there are Kiwanians throughout our community who would be happy to sell you one of these. And they're cheaper if you buy them in advance, $1 cheaper if you buy them in advance. I have them for those who want to buy a ticket, and I hope that you will not only buy a ticket, but you will go and engage in the fellowship with your fellow citizens of all stripes who will show up on April 23rd between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Talawanda High School. And it is an in-person event, and everybody on Kiwanis is very excited to get back to doing the in-person event. I hope that you will all support this community event like we do a lot of things that our service clubs do for us, like the Lions Club and their Christmas trees, and all the groups in town try to help get things done. So I want to shout out to all of our service clubs. But today, Pancake Day. All right. You'll note on your agenda future meetings. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this one. It's been moved by the Vice Mayor and seconded by Councilor French. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.